morning students, welcome to the computer class. In this class today we are going to study about process scheduling queues managed by the operating system. We all have already studied what is a process. A process is a program in execution, and we all know that process uses a very important resource of the computer, that is your CPU time. CPU time as well as RAM. We already know that every process uses these two important resources of the computer. So how the operating system manages the process scheduling queues? Because we know that there are different queues which are managed. One is ready queue, one is job queue, one is device queue, first talking about job queue. So it is a list of jobs. We know that the long-term scheduler, what it does, it picks up processes from your hard disk where we have a pool of jobs and brings it into RAM. Okay, so over here the queue which is formed is known as a job queue or job pool. That is all the processes, all the programs which are created and saved. Talking about the other thing, that is your ready queue over here. What is a ready queue? So the ready queue is a queue of processes which are waiting to be executed by the CPU. It is a queue of processes which are waiting to be executed by the CPU. As you can see over here, P1, P2, P3, these are the three processes which are waiting to be executed by the CPU. This is known as a ready queue. Understood? This is a ready queue. Now, last one is a device queue. Now students, we have seen that all the statements in a program, they are not to be executed by the CPU. Some statements are also statements like these. Enter the value. So we might have statements like these where we are asking from an input from the user, and we can also have statements like these. Print the value is A. We can have these two types of statements, okay, where we need to enter value, that is get the value from the user console. For example, get value from an input device like keyboard, and over here print the value, that is send the value to an output device like monitor. So we can have scenarios like these in our program where we need to take input from the user and display the output. So where do these type of statements go? They are not executed by the CPU. They are in fact handled by the usual devices. Like for example, this input statement will be handled by input devices like keyboard, mouse, scanner and so on, depending upon the type of input which is given. The biometric scanner, which is used for taking attendance of employees in offices, okay, that is a type of an input device which is taking our fingerprint impression as the input. Understood? Similarly, if I am clicking something with the mouse, if I am creating an event driven program which consists of buttons which I need to click, so such type of programs also will be taking the input device as mouse. So we have different input devices and different output devices which are used for managing all these type of operations. And for this purpose only, such type of statements are not executed by CPU. In fact, they are handled by their individual device queues. Okay, that is, keyboard will have its own device. It will have its own device queue where some processes might be waiting to use the keyboard, that is get input from the user. Some of them might be waiting for the monitor. So they are waiting to be taken up by the monitor, that is sent to the monitor's screen, sent to the screen. So likewise, different devices will have their own different device queues. So these are the three types of queues which we studied. Now we will understand how your CPU handles these different queues. At the very beginning, we have the ready queue. We have the ready queue over here, and jobs are submitted to the ready queue from your job queue, that is the job pool which is on your hard disk. So once they are in the ready queue, it shows that they are waiting to be executed by the CPU. Now they will be allocated CPU. And they will start execution. Okay, so after that they could go into a number of different states. There could be an IO request, that is input output request, owing to any input or output statement being encountered. Maybe we are taking value from the user, maybe we are displaying something on the monitor. So that goes into the IO queue. IO queue is also your device queue. This is also your device queue. So it goes to your device queue. Now from IO queue, once this is done, IO is completed, and from here the process again goes back into the ready state, that is, it is again ready to be executed by the CPU. Now another scenario could be it is a time sharing system, and even our modern day operating systems, they also use some techniques of time sharing. They also use time sharing. That is a particular process. It executes for some fixed amount of time on the CPU. CPU completes its execution for that fixed amount of time, and then it moves over to the next process. So it is quite possible that the time slice expires here. The time slice expires and the process again goes back into the ready queue. So this is the direction of the processes. So again, its time slice expires, it goes into the ready queue again. The last statement would be wait for interrupt. What is interrupt? There could be any abnormal termination in your program, like बीच में चलते चलते program बंद हो गया. Got it? Your program is executing and due to some unexpected error or some situation you might not have comprehended beforehand, because of which your program execution stops abruptly in between and you are totally clueless as to what to do. So some problem might have occurred during the execution of the program. One of the problems could be maybe there is a division by zero error. Somewhere you might have given a statement like this: a divided by 0, which is not recognized in computers. Why? Because its result we know is infinity. Anything divided by 0 is what? Infinity. So infinity is undefined and it gives a division by 0 error in computer programs, and hence that can generate an interrupt, or maybe there is some abnormal, there is some statement in the program which is wrongly written and it is trying to access an invalid memory region. There also an interrupt will occur. Okay, any unavoidable situation can lead to an interrupt in the, or a disruption in the during the execution of the program. So wait for interrupt, and if the interrupt occurs, interrupt is handle the interrupt. That is, take some necessary course of action for this, and then once it is solved, you can again go back, process can again go back to the ready queue. That is, now you can see a process is created, it is in the job pool, then it is selected by the long-term scheduler, it is brought into your memory, that is RAM, and it comes into your ready queue, ready to be executed by the CPU. Now from the ready queue, it again goes into the CPU, that is, it is executing. In between, there could be some input or output statements. So IO request is generated and the process goes into the device queue, whether keyboard or monitor or printer. Once the input output request is complete, it again comes back into the ready queue and ready to be executed by the CPU again. So now again it starts executing. Now second scenario could be time slice expires. Its time slice has expired. It will again go on to the ready queue, because now it's the time for the next process to start executing on the CPU as per time sharing system. Next, wait for an interrupt. There could be an interrupt in between. Like I said, there could be any unavoidable situation due to which your program stops abruptly, and that interrupt is handled, and then the program again goes back into the ready state. So this is how your operating system manages the process scheduling queues. Now our next topic is job scheduling. Students, we already know that there are multiple tasks which are being performed by our CPU. I'm going to rub everything over here so that I get extra space. Next is, what is job scheduling? Job scheduling, also known as CPU scheduling, also known as process scheduling, also known as process scheduling. So all these type of things they come under what? Scheduling. So now when we talk about process scheduling, CPU scheduling, it means how to manage different processes. How to manage different processes so that they all could execute properly and efficiently on the CPU. See, the main idea behind scheduling is your CPU should never be idle. You might have seen that you might be typing a letter on the computer in MS Word. You might be thinking that you have a fairly good typing speed. That is, you type around 40 words per minute. So now you might think that you have a fairly good typing speed, but you don't realize that CPU is the fastest device. And because it is the fastest device, it has to wait for an indefinite amount of time to take input from you in the form of your keystrokes. Understood? So our main motto should be optimum or maximum utilization of CPU. Maximum utilization of CPU. This should be our main objective. Okay. Your the operating system which you are using, that will be considered efficient only when it is able to achieve at least 90% of its utilization. There should be around 90% of the CPU utilization, that is 90% of the time CPU should be busy with some work. Okay, so why? Because otherwise, if CPU is left idle, then you don't realize you are wasting a lot of electricity. You are wasting a lot of CPU time, which is an important system resource. Understood? So that is why CPU utilization should be maximum in every case. So with this only, I will conclude the topic. We are going to take up next in the next class the topic known as job scheduling. So in job scheduling, I will just summarize it quickly. We will be taking these things, that is turnaround time, the concept of turnaround time, the concept of response time, different algorithms, which are used for CPU scheduling or job scheduling. That is going to be our topic of discussion in the next class. So I conclude this class today over here. Meet again in the next class.